Judge Arthur Engoron, who of course oversaw the fraud trial for Donald Trump in New York and handed down that $454 million verdict against him, is now under investigation by the New York Judiciary Oversight Board. And the reason Engoron is now under investigation is because a lawyer who was once temporarily suspended from practicing law in New York, but this lawyer came forward in an interview with a local NBC News affiliate in New York and said that he had a conversation with Judge Engoron, unprompted, right? He approached Engoron about it, not the other way around. But he talked to Engoron about Trump's case before Engoron had issued his decision. It was after all the arguments had been made, closing arguments were over, Engoron was in the deliberation period, and this lawyer claims that he approached Engoron offering him a little bit of advice on how to rule. And once this lawyer said this in this interview, obviously the Judicial Oversight Board said, "Whoa, hold up, that's a big, big problem." So now Engoron is under investigation. Let me read you this. A high-profile New York real estate lawyer whose law license was once suspended said he approached the judge presiding over Donald Trump's civil fraud case to offer unsolicited advice about a law at issue in the case. Attorney Adam Lightman Bailey made the claim during an interview with NBC New York, saying he spoke to Judge Arthur Engoron 3 weeks prior to the judge's February decision to fine the former president $454 million for falsely inflating the value of his assets. The judge, through a court spokesman, denied impropriety and said he was wholly uninfluenced by Mr. Bailey. New York's judicial oversight body has now launched an investigation into the alleged interaction, according to sources familiar with the matter. Bailey, who said he is no fan of Trump, was not involved in the civil case and is not connected to any of the 4 separate criminal cases against the former president. He said he knows the judge from having appeared before him as a litigant hundreds of times. Bailey said he explained to him that a fraud statute at issue in the case was not intended to be used to shut down a major company, especially in a case without clear victims. He said such a ruling would hurt New York's economy. Engoron had rejected a similar argument raised by the Trump team in court. And this lawyer, again, who says, I did this unprompted. And then he goes out there in the media and is like, oh, by the way, hey, I was talking to Judge Engoron about the case and was kind of giving him advice on how to rule. So obviously this guy needs to be investigated. I don't like Trump. I was just telling him not to shut down Trump's company. Yeah, you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking right now, right? This was not accidental. This man blurting this out on television was also not accidental. No. This stinks to high heaven. I'm not doubting the man's story at all, by the way. I do believe he did approach Judge Engoron. I mean, Engoron apparently, admits it, yeah. But I think this whole thing is absolutely staged. Absolutely 100%. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to convince me otherwise. You don't just go out there and approach a judge who you know is currently deliberating on a case, offer them advice because you know that's not legal, and then you go blurt it out in the media? That seems a little too convenient if you ask me. And of course, you were basically asking the judge to go easy on Donald Trump, so don't sit there and say like, hey, I'm no fan of Trump. Nope. None of it smells right. And of course, now Engoron's under investigation. And this could threaten the entire case. This could easily cause Donald Trump to win on appeal. So more digging needs to be done into who this lawyer is, why he did what he did. Are there any connections to Donald Trump or any of Trump's associates in any way? Because something about this, everything about this, doesn't smell right. And this is what warrants an investigation. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.